from within is perhaps the greatest value, the greatest flavor a human being could experience. Being free within makes everything easier. Even our ability to manage suffering can be observed. Many times we suffer because we are attached. We are not free. I cling to a table. I cling to a book. I cling to success. I cling to a job. I cling to a person. And then I deprive myself of living my personal freedom. Then I begin to suffer. No one promised us it would be easy. No one promised us that everything would happen the way we want. No one promised us that our loves would be perfect. No one promised us that people would not betray us. No one promised us that we wouldn't lose the people we love. Not us. No one promised us that we wouldn't have to let go, deal with setbacks. Inner freedom, my people, it puts you at peace with life. You become easier to live with. You start to realize what really matters. Where do you have to put your effort? Sometimes we spend time in our lives dissatisfied, bitter because of nonsense. Why? Because we lack inner freedom. Father, but my context enslaves me. I'm sorry, man. I only believe. I only believe in freedom. What frees us? My people, what frees us? What lawyer can free us from behind the bars of suffering? It's our convictions. It's what we think that sets us free. It's the word that illuminates our conscience, that is capable of setting us free. Perhaps liberation doesn't come into your life because you still don't think in a liberating way. Perhaps you're still a slave to yourself in so many ways. Or perhaps you're still jealous. Perhaps you're still immersed in your pettiness. It's because you haven't yet been enlightened by the thought that sets you free, which is the word of Christ, your mindset, your gospel, and your way of being. It's your way of living, of interpreting the world, of interpreting people. That's what sets us free. Living hurts. It's always painful. But is it possible to extract satisfaction from all of this? And for that, the religious process, to help us understand this. It's so liberating when we understand that life is sacred, even when things happen that don't seem sacred, that even in the midst of misfortunes, we can give a religious meaning to all of this, that we can understand this entire human process as a gift to be administered in a holy way. Today I want to receive life. I want to deal with this life with maturity because I buy it. I understand it as a process. Holy is holy. To live is sacred to live. And I have no right to neglect the sacredness of life, even with my childishness. Why do I say that it is perhaps one of the greatest human pleasures? From a spiritual or emotional point of view, what a human being can experience is freedom. Because from the moment I am a man, free, I begin to interpret myself correctly. I begin to look at myself with due respect, with due reverence. I begin to look at others too, allowing this freedom. Because those who are free make a point of provoking freedom in those they meet. Sometimes we have so much difficulty at home. We have difficulty with our brothers. We have difficulty with our father, with our mother, with our friends. Why? Because we have not been freed in our own minds. We remain attached to ourselves, to our miseries. We don't work for the freedom that from the moment I take it seriously, the freedom that Jesus provokes in me. I will do everything so that Christian is free too, but in a loving way, in a supportive way. I will not impose my burdens on him. I will do everything so that I can deal well with my transformations. Then I will better organize my morning. I will be able to lose with a little more wisdom. Why lose? We are all losing. We are all losing all the time. But there are gains that, if you want to see, you just have to open your eyes. Then how to throw away all that arsenal of childishness that we often carry. Allow God to remove from our eyes those glasses that often make us see a reality full of pretty little flowers, but that does not correspond to what is. Look at the other with truth, without our expectations. Many times our encounters are not possible. Our loves are not possible. Is it because we don't love the other? We love. It's the expectations we have of each other. This is cruel when we throw onto the other all the responsibilities that arise from our childish way of seeing life, of seeing the world, of seeing people. Many times we feed very childish views about the life of the other, even in our relationship with God. How many times do we catch ourselves feeding a childish way of being religious? Because when we don't have enough maturity to understand, it is not proper for someone who loves to fulfill all the wishes of their beloved, because that means taking away from their beloved the opportunity to grow through life's own difficulties. And of course, God's presence does not waver, and he does not wake up in a bad mood, saying, I will not be with these people today. No. Now it's up to us to decide whether or not to accept his presence in our lives, because God doesn't invade us. God gives us all graces, but he doesn't force us to receive them. And that's where the difference between one human being and everyone else lies. It's precisely the courage to accept God's grace, to put to work everything he has placed in us as a gift. It's allowing the seed to advance in its growth. It's watering the seed, this gift received daily, so that it may become a fruit. People, if we pat ourselves on the head every day, if we look at ourselves with pity, if we look at ourselves with victim spirit, we have 1,000 reasons to lie down and sleep thinking we've already done everything that had interfered. Human beings, when they enter into the context of self-pity, they stop growing. Oh, poor me. Look how hard I worked today. I don't even have time to take a quick walk. I don't have time for anything like that. Add something new to your life and do everything you can to make this happen. So, you already have a heavy routine, I know, but add something that will improve your life, even if it's just that. Look, from today on, half an hour of my day will be spent reading. I need to read at least one of these, even if it's just 15 minutes of reflection. My day is very hectic. I have a routine. I'm taking care of my house all the time. I'm taking care of my children. I'm working, and I don't have time to balance myself as a person. You know, you feel like you're doing something for your maturity, for your advancement. Is that religious, my people? Yes, when we allow it. May God be in our lives. When does he help us live detachment, even from those we love, to allow them to leave, or to reestablish that memory in a new way? Because everyone dies, my people. Everyone will lose, special people. We are all plagued by the sadness of seeing someone we love leave. Now, my life can't end when someone else dies, because otherwise I don't bear witness to the resurrection. Or am I not doing justice to the life I still have? Nothing is only good. Nothing is only bad. One has its right side. A tissue? When you look at it, you have to think that there's a time that supports it, which is as important as the right side. It is worthless. It is not you making a beautiful garment with quality fabric on the outside if you do not give the same quality or have been on the inside. Is that so? The human experience is the same thing. Glue reality with the goal. No one can live without a goal, without objectives, right? When you allow it, may God's grace reach you with all its possibilities, with all its consequences. You begin to enter a territory of greater lightness. You begin to dispense a little with the weights that we sometimes insist on carrying, because it's impressive how we are, not very intelligent to say that we are stupid. How do we insist on carrying far 12, which does not add anything to our life? He who ties himself to burdens cannot be free, cannot discover the grace of inner freedom. He who clings to situations, there are people, there are things. A childish way of seeing reality is so harmful. It deprives us of living life as it deserves to be lived. The first thing is to remove the story that we will have a happy life because we are good, that we will have a harmonious life because we did this, we did that, not this, that math doesn't add up. Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. And when that happens, the good need to recruit all the elements that make them good, so they can understand life. For us to stop crying, over spilled milk. For us to start looking at life with a little more courage, a little more willingness, with a little more maturity. How long will someone die in our lives? If we don't free ourselves to understand the loss, we don't organize mourning. We will never be tied to our corpses. 10, 20, 30 years. In fact, we even experience some lessons that only the loss of someone very essential in our lives teaches us. One of them is what the poet Mia Couto, a Mozambican writer, speaks so interestingly about: the beloved dead. They never stop dying. Every day you have to live with that death. You see, right? Yes, I need to understand. That in order for me to reach the context of this liberation, to be able to organize this morning, I will have to kill my ghost daily. I will have to deal with the news again. He who died no longer exists, and seek the resources that life can offer me so that I am able to overcome this. God matures us so that we are able to understand this refrain that dresses it in reverse, that the right has, since the free has its price, that life has opposites. But even in these opposites, we can be very, very, very harmonious, and that the greatness of a soul depends precisely on capacity that this soul has to reconcile opposites within itself. So inner freedom helps me do this. It helps me give to God. It helps me lose. How many things have I lost in my life? How many people have I lost in my life? Some people are jealous of their cars, and they get very angry. They lose all balance when they find out that someone used their car. Or when there's a little scratch there, he loses his peace. He can't sleep. We cling to situations. We cling to people. We cling to statuses. We even cling to the image we have. There are people who don't accept the aging process because they are attached to the image they had in their youth. Lack of inner freedom makes us increasingly attached. What is jealousy? It's a disordered attachment to a person, to a situation, to an object. This happily ever after. It exists as long as you understand this happily ever after, with a daily struggle for the contentment of being with each other. In the case of the struggle, of the commitment, of making this relationship work. We don't have a right to take fairy tales and bring them into our lives, as if we had the obligation to play the same roles as those written in literature. No, St. Paul's words in Galatians speak to us in a brilliant way, in an exquisite way. It is to be truly free, as Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not be subject again to the yoke of slavery. See how the process does not end the moment we are free. Upon being freed, upon taking a step in my direction, in the direction of my inner freedom, I need to ensure that situations do not oppress me again. Why, everyone? In all the structures that enslave us, they continue to do so. I remember when my God in heaven, died. I thought I would never be able to rejoice in anything again. Such was the depth of that pain. Watching my mother bury my sister, I kept thinking, I think my mother will never again be able to smile and rejoice in any situation. But she, engulfed by the grace of God, was gradually recovering. And you, who know Mrs. Anna, know a woman doesn't hold back on joy, right? Without goals, a human being won't go far. But the goal is always a factor. It's linked to the ideal. So I want that for myself. But what do I recognize today? It doesn't give me the conditions to live the realization of that goal. So then you'll equalize yourself in the time of commitment. But what about your goals? They don't disregard your current process. I can't have a goal that disregards who I am. I need to tie my goals to my reality. And in reality, I can always intervene. But yeah, I think it's time. Time is wonderful, and it is the father of truth in everything. It reveals everything. Nothing disguised lasts, right? Time reveals our excesses, right? It finds, it disproves our lies. He's a damn thing. You who are following us at home may be able to relate a little to this conversation, because you too, in some instances, in your life, often feel like a prisoner of your petty feelings, of what is most primitive within you. This opportunity we have here to remember, to recall that Christianity is the daily invitation for us to access these primitive dimensions. That's why, my people, I like to always emphasize that the context of religion must be the context of human maturation. We cannot bend our knees to pray to God, forgetting our causes. We do not have the right to live a mysticism that alienates us, that prevents us from thinking about human issues. We do not have a right to live a relationship with God that does not place us in the daily obligation to look at what we are experiencing, what we are choosing, what we are thinking, and to cleanse these excesses, right? The power of the gospel, the liberation provokes in us, is precisely so that we have conditions to overcome our shortcomings. We will meet those who need us, establish communion with them, even if they remain different from us. Each one assumes a rule they chose to live by. I did. We receive this that sometimes we still are We are so far from a Christian proposal of this fraternity, precisely because we are not free. You have true ease, right? Sometimes we experience such petty feelings in the face of another's success, in the face of the beauty that another provokes, you say, of the art that another hurts, right? How strange that is, right? Immaturity in truth, I think this lack. No, there is no point in rejoicing with another. We need to be free and happy with what we are experiencing. Otherwise, you end up envying your neighbor's garden, right? Inevitable is inevitable, and to rejoice. Rejoicing with another is good, but it is light. It only happens if it's true. Anyway, we're in the face, right? It's in the face. But if from time to time someone doesn't take us out of this common sense and present us with a new way of interpreting reality, we run the risk of being chained in the pettiness, right? Of common sense. Thinking differently, thinking out loud, was not Jesus' proposal. He didn't change the minds of whoever he met, for the better, right? He made those people leave an old context of interpreting themselves, others, friends, politics, religion, and made them move forward. Here through the head. My heart only changes after the head thinks differently. And it is so important, my people, that you feel that you are not stagnant. We live in a time of so much slavery. The slavery of prejudice. From heaven, sometimes we watch a political debate and people attacking each other in such a way. My Father of mercy, and you wonder? Have you seen the disrespect of a human being? You see it all the time. You watch the news and you notice. Cruelty is increasingly present among us because we lack a mentality that frees us. We lack a mentality that allows us to look at each other with a little more love, to look at the other who lives a sexuality differently from us, who made different choices than us, and we are able to have respect for that person, to not treat them with discredit, as if she were a second-rate human being. Today is that moment when Jesus says, if you want to come, you will have to give up your context to discover his context. Bring yourself to me, and from the moment you present yourself to him, he will do a great work in your life. Sometimes we rescue a tribal instinct to justify the fears we feel, the insecurities we carry, the shame of admitting I'm jealous, I'm insecure. Sometimes I'm afraid. Sometimes we're ashamed to tell ourselves who we are, me. I truly believe and experience that God's mercy is a wonderful space to live in. Great. A place where you enter and then you can breathe in peace and say, do you want to be? If not, it's not being free. It's a project that never ends, is it? We're never fully free. Christian anthropology teaches us that our inner freedom needs to be freed daily because it's a gift. It's a gift that asks me to do something. I don't receive it on a silver platter, as is commonly said when things are too easy. God gave us freedom. As a gift, I carry it within me. You carry it within you. We all receive it. Now, being free is something else. It's like having a plant that needs to grow, through the care we give it, when it's not watered, when you fertilize it, so that all the potential within the seed can develop, and that seed can become the tree that potentially exists within. Freedom is the same thing. Being able to say today, I am free. It's accepting that you are in a process of liberating your own freedom. Christian motivation. All glory and praise to God,